person called Godfather of AI, who is the Geoffrey Hinton. We will talk a little. Maybe we'll talk about him a little bit later. But John McCarthy kind of was the first one in around 1950s during his university research and etc. that he really started bringing this concept to the forefront. And I think that's the reason why we recognize him as the father of AI for the world. Now, the ride of or development of AI had never been not been in any by any means of imagination been a smooth one. During 1950s, 60s, 70s, when the Cold War was really at its peak, there was a lot of defense budgets and investments that have gone in, and then there was a lot of development by university level, research level that have come in, and that's the reason why during 1965 to 1975, 74 type of era, that particular decade, we kind of identify it as almost like a golden age where there's so much of a level of improvements and investment and thought process have gone into what this AI, artificial intelligence, would mean. But of course, at about 1970s to 80s, the dark ages have begun. There was a concept of neural network. Don't worry about what that means for now. Started coming in, and about 1980s onwards, with some things like expert systems, some new technological pieces coming together. Sorry, apologies. May I just request you all to go on mute? Okay, thanks. Um, type of a thing. We started seeing there's a bit more development coming, but the time that AI and there's something called machine learning. I'll talk about what machine learning and AI, what the difference is in a bit later. What really started to happen was at about early 90s onwards, when the internet and so many other things and different way of looking at computational power consumptions and things like that started to come in, that it really started to take off, right? And I think today we almost call this potentially at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution. We'd say that this is likely to be one of the most interesting eras of AI and whatever. When we are hearing about AlphaGo, we'll hear about Watson. We are hearing about ChatGPT. We are hearing about so many Bard from Google. So we are hearing so many other things, one after the other. And one of these really important things that happened was, even though we knew about AI until about 6 months ago, a lot of us didn't know how to use it, how it could be helpful to us, even though some of the other applications. I think what ChatGPT really did was that really brought AI capability to our fingertips and to almost to everyone. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing. And I think that's why it got really a lot of attention over the last 6 months and got super excited about it. Now, any technology at an innovative level, and I identify AI still at a very innovative level, not at a mature level or even at a growth phase at the moment. It's at a very innovative, very early phases. There's something that really, really happens. And I think there's a graph on the right-hand side of your screen. We are saying that technology trigger, there's a peak of inflated expectation. Then there's a couple of phases that it goes through. I think to some level, we are at this inflated expectations level. We have this humongous expectation about what AI and what everything can become and what it should be for us. But I think we might settle our expectation or downgrade our expectation a little bit as time goes by. So that's something that I wanted to just take a highlight. So that's a bit of background. And there are many ways that people define what AI is. For me, the way that I would define artificial intelligence is by the Alan Turing test. If you haven't seen the movie, I think it's Imitation Games. I recommend that you watch that. It basically says that Alan Turing said, if a human could not distinguish between responses from a machine and a human, the machine could be considered intelligent. So this is like what we call the Turing test as well. If you are chatting to someone and beyond a certain point, you started losing the identity of that as a machine and just feels that it could potentially be a human, it is crossed that very important threshold of intelligent. And I think that's the Alan Turing's test method of identifying what AI or intelligence really mean. And I think this is a very interesting, simple test that all of us could follow. And I have had experiences where in a chat environment or whatever, where you, after a while, you completely forget that you are actually working with a machine, but it just becomes so natural, etc. There's Sophia, there's so many other robots as well. There's an interesting video I'll share at the end of the session for you guys to refer to that might give you some interesting insights about some of these concepts as well. But all in all, the history hasn't done justice to AI in a way, because it seems to be getting a lot of bad press. I think, Matrix was one, Terminator, Space Odyssey 2000, Star Wars. Somewhere down the line, all of them kind of got portrayed like these man-like machines, or machines with more power to manipulate and destroy human beings. I really don't know what's going to happen in time to come. But the reality of the matter is that the way that AI exists today in the world is a little bit different. The way that AI exists today is more like this. It's applications that sits on top of it for as a way of voice recognition, as ways of image recognition, as ways of voice translations, as ways of autopilot modes on cars. Today, ChatGPT is an obvious one. I intentionally want to leave that out because we'll talk a little bit about that bit later. So AI in the current world and context exists a very different shape and form than what is being portrayed by the Hollywood movies and the robots, the killer robots. So that's a very important distinction I wanted to make. About the evolution and the history and where we are today in this artificial intelligence part of it. So that's the background of it. And I want to just take to the next part of my kind of presentation and talk to you about why are we so confused about artificial intelligence, right? And I think that's a really important problem to address. If you have any questions, as I said, about that first part of it, about the history and evolution, please leave it on the chat box. Chat, I will get back to you. As I said, when I'm presenting, it kind of goes blind, so I don't really see what's going on. Isa, are you there? Or if there's anything, just step in and make sure that you kind of interrupt me or whatever, okay?
Sure.
So why are we confused about AI? I think it's really, really important. Now, the reason why it is that is when we talk about AI, we are not talking about a very specific thing. It's a very personal interpretation of what it is. And everybody uses this from a very simple application of a chat box into your website, all the way up to self-driving cars, or to Boston Dynamics dancing robots. We put all of this gamut of things under AI, right? And I think it's really important is for us to kind of define it. In a very higher level, the way that we define AI, we can define it into three categories. One called artificial narrow AI, second one called artificial general AI, and the third one being artificial super AI. Now, I have given a small description just underneath that about defining it. Today, when we talk about AI, we are predominantly talking about artificial narrow intelligence or artificial narrow AI. Okay, so that is specialization in one area, like driving a car, translation of language, collating, language, language across the internet and giving us a, summary of a something, right? Recognizing images, analyzing something. That's why we call that a narrow AI. The general AI it has a specialization that could do in any area, right? And the super AI is what I think is most likely you all are seeing on Hollywood movies. And it's also called what we call the singularity. And I have given the definition of singularity on the other side, where it transforms the world into a completely different way of operating than what it is today. And we don't know whether we'll even ever achieve that. But it's very important to demark these three phases of AI. And today, when we talk about this particular, anybody talks about AI, what we're really referring to is narrow AI. We are not even there with general AI, right? And I think that's something that I want to highlight in this part of it. So what is happening with this particular wording? There's AI, there's machine learning, there's data science, there's data engineering, there's there's deep learning, there's neural networks, there's all those different type of vision, related terms. There's so much of terms going on. Here's a simple example of what had happened with this word kind of a game in AI space. So if you have gotten a statistics degree in from a university about 20 years ago, you are probably would have called it, I can do statistics. Now with the improvement of computational data, computation and technology and a growth of data, having more access to data and all that, after a while, person would say, oh, I can do data mining. And with the even more development of more models being built on computers, computation power improving, and what used to take 1 month now can being able to do in a couple of seconds, we would get into things like we can do predictive analytics. And I think, moving into more advanced models and executing more computational power on that and etc. Today, we will call that, say, I can do data science. So if you really look at it, the foundations have remained the same, but over the years, with the ability of access to data, access to computational power, access to being able to solve more different complicated things, we are actually seeing that the terminology getting improved over the years and times. And partly is the technical terms being improved by the people who are doing the subject. The other part of it is primarily that, with all due respect, like HR teams would want to put a much more appealing designation and will evolve this terminology even more, right? And terms like some of the other terms would come in. So as a result, today this terminology is a wild, wild west scenario. Now that is why it's really important that sometimes not to get intimidated by the words that is being used, but for you all to like ask yourself, what does that really mean? What is the background? What is the fundamental that is happening, etc. Before you moving. So first part of it is really understanding which part of AI we really talking about, what are the different terminologies and things in the AI that people speaking about, and then really understanding a simple framework to say where does different words come in. Now, at the end of the day, the base component skill set in AI part of it is driven by ability to write algorithms. These algorithms are, in very simple terms, are mathematical formulas. The very first assigned or recognized algorithm was written, I think, in 300 BC by a mathematician called Euclid. And after that, in 2012, the first time the Nobel Prize was given to an algorithm for solving a very interesting problem. It's called stable marriage problem, and I will encourage you all to Google it. It's a very interesting problem to solve today also, by two, Shapley and Ruth and Shapley, I think the ones mathematicians who were. And then these mathematical formulas started getting incorporated into computers and being able to execute much faster. So algorithms are in the heart, at the core of everything we actually do. And then do have a component called deep learning. And then there is a component called machine learning. And there is a component called AI. So if you really look at AI, and if someone says, I'm doing machine learning, just understand that they are actually maybe doing maybe a couple of steps below what AI is actually doing. And it's just a step graduation for you to move to artificial intelligence, right? So this is something that I wanted to just quickly let you all know about it. And sometimes, and I think there are people who disagreed with me with this definition, so I'm going to give that disclaimer up front. A lot of times putting all of these things together, we will call that advanced analytics. And I think sometimes people say, no, advanced analytics stops with machine learning. It doesn't cover artificial intelligence. Sometimes they say it's even before. So there is this ongoing little bit of a debate about it. But for me, advanced analytics is primarily encompassing all of these components together, and we call it advanced analytics, so that it has the capacity to do machine learning, it has the capacity to do AI, it has the capacity to do algorithms, it has the capacity to do deep learning, etc. So this is one of the very important three messages that I want to give you as introduction for AI. One is narrow AI. So artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence, and how the evolution of designations and the roles and people's capabilities have come in over the years with ability to have access to more data and computational power, how the different things are stacking up with what artificial intelligence stands and how advanced analytics and things terminology has come in. And just to give you a small clarification on this, the difference between machine learning and deep learning is very simply, machine learning, we give a set of features for the machine algorithm to look for, and based on that, the machine does the classifications and put as an output whether it's a car or not. Here we put an input, we say if there are, you detect four wheels, four headlights, it looks like this, then classify it as a car or not car type of an output. Whereas in deep learning, we just allow it to be completely be driven by the machine. It's a very simple, very high level. This thing, don't want to get too technical about it, but I just want to clarify this because we spoke about deep learning and machine learning in the previous slide. So that is the background of AI in terms of the history of how we got here. Then it comes into the, what different wording, definitions, capabilities, all of that. And what I want to do is very important, and this is why most of you are here, is to understand what does really AI for business really mean, right? How do I care about? Why should I care about it, etc. Right? So let me just quickly kind of take you through two people whom I respect a lot. One guy is called Mark Benioff, and the other one is Larry Page. Larry Page is the founder of Google. Then you end up being the board member of Alphabet. That abc.xyz is the Alphabet URL, in case you're wondering. And then Mark Benioff is Salesforce.com. They said couple of two very important things. Why should businesses care about AI? The first one, companies are no longer competing against each other. They are competing for speed. So in order for you to be running at high speed, you need to be able to make high speed decisions. In order for you to make high speed decisions, you need to have dependency on high probability win rates in decisions. So it cannot be based on intuition. It cannot be based on experience. It has to be based on patterns. It has to be based on data, etc. And that's the reason why things like AI and ability to do data-driven decision making, is really becoming more and more important to the business. And the second part is coming from Larry Page. He said a lot of companies don't succeed over time. What do they fundamentally get wrong? They usually miss the future. And I think today the future belongs to a few areas. One is obviously, AI, all of that space. There's another one around blockchain. There's other stuff that is happening on, but those are two of the biggest kind of waves that are really transforming businesses that businesses need to adapt. So I think these are very powerful things. So if you really look at it, today, I think Sri Lanka is a little different because the scale of the market is so small. But the reality of the matter is that if you really work in a much higher, kind of a faster, more scale in businesses, achieving speed, achieving accuracy in terms of being able to make good, sound business judgment, being able to have information that is based on data is really, really important. So one of the biggest drivers of AI and business adoption is driven by some of these requirements the businesses or the demands that the businesses have for being successful, staying ahead of the game. Now, there are three things if you want to deploy AI in a business that is primarily required. First of all, they need to have good data. When I say good data, not just data, everybody has data, but that data in that shape and form may not be applicable. You may need to convert it. You may need to make it ready. So data is one of them. Second one is computational power. Third one is algorithms. Now, if you look at, there was a time where startups were adopting new technologies and had a huge advantage over traditional businesses that have existed in the world for a long period of time. But over the last couple of maybe 5-10 years, organization that kind of owns and has access to a lot of data have been getting that advantage because if you look at that middle pillar that I'm showing, the data is one of the biggest drivers for our organization to be able to run faster, be able to make data-driven decisions. Computational power for the longest time, till about 1990s, 2000, we used to buy big servers, big computers and keep it in-house. That is all gone with the emergence of cloud computing. JKH is a great example. We are running on Azure. So computational power today is just a matter of like clicking something. How much of a power that you need, you can get it for the couple of hours you need it, and you can scale it down. So that disadvantage organizations had for access to computational power disappeared with its ability to be able to run all of this on the cloud. And I think we are there. The third one is algorithm. As I said, over the years of people doing statistics, learning computer science, developing and software engineers, learning statistics, there was this ability to start developing data science type of capabilities. Algorithms were made more publicly available. There was ability for us to be able to start applying these algorithms and seeing what is really capable today to use that. So I think it's these three things coming together that is really driving AI to be adopted by businesses. Now, of course, there is something that we are not talking about here. That is, how does ChatGPT gets plugged into organizations? How does Bard or so many other similar tools in the world will get into the organization? That is still at a very early stage, but there's no doubt there will be a version of ChatGPT, there will be a version of Bard, there will be a version of NVIDIA AI engines that will get adopted for corporate environments outside the individual users that you and I will have. But at the moment, it's a bit too early to say, but it's definitively going to happen. When is a question, probably next 6 months, we will know how it will get applied. Maybe you will have a ChatGPT version that runs inside JKH that might help you to do this properly. I want to play this video because one is I have been speaking for close to about 45 minutes, I think now. And a little bit over 35 minutes. One is probably to give a break and probably for me to have a sip of water. Second one is, some of the things I don't have to say and put slides. You probably can see it. This is a 2-minute kind of video.
It all begins from a single origin.
Okay, let me just play it from the beginning, and I think you will gather what he's saying. There's some very interesting applications of AI that is happening beyond business in a completely a level of how it will transform the world that is showcased in this 1-minute video. Let's just listen to that.
It all begins from a single origin, a unique point in space and time. This is the spark of innovation that fuels your most amazing breakthroughs. It's a passion for discovery that unveiled the genesis of all that exists in the universe. Today, the power of AI helps computers achieve superhuman capabilities in image recognition and lets scientists save our most precious resources by analyzing in 1 month what used to take 10 years. Everyday devices translate even the most complex languages from voice into text and images into words.
Xavier is now present.
Helping the visually impaired recognize an old friend, or letting a blind woman read to her child for the first time. Autonomous vehicles give us the freedom to reimagine our city streets and travel where there are no streets at all to help the lost find their way home. We see robots teach themselves to perform simple tasks. We even watch in awe as they take their first steps. And today, a 2,500-year-old game meets its match as a computer competes with one of the greatest human champions of all time and wins. This is the collective imagination, fueled by forward-looking technologies and the beginning of your most amazing discoveries yet to come.
Okay, that was something that is really, really interesting that I wanted to showcase to you guys. Let me just move to the next slide. Okay, here we go. Of course, any discussion about AI is incomplete without talking about ChatGPT, right? I mean, this is something that everybody looks forward to. I'm sure there are a few questions here. I'm just trying to click and see there are sorry. So can I just ask everybody to go on mute if you are, okay, now we are good. So as I said, like no presentation about AI will be complete without ChatGPT because everybody starts seeing AI through the world of, what ChatGPT does. And I hope the last 35 minutes, I showcased you that AI is a significantly larger play for organizations and individuals beyond ChatGPT. ChatGPT falls under a category called LLM, which is large language models, which encompass data and language, like the information that is out there and synthesizes and being able to provide it in such a fingertips the way that we want, which is fascinating itself for sure. But it is just again an artificial narrow intelligence type of application. Now, it hadn't stopped there. One of the things I was really tempted to show you a 1-minute video about how ChatGPT works, etc. But at the same time, I felt, yes, that is something that you must have already seen and you must have already been using. I know that a lot of my friends are currently using ChatGPT to write emails, to assignments, to whatever, including me. So as a result, my suggestion was, I'll just give you an introduction and I will share this particular website, which is the 10 best AI tool for business, which is updated as of May 2023. And at the bottom of that page, after it talks about the 10 applications, there are so many other AI tools for images, the videos. It's all lists of tools similar to ChatGPT that you can bring into your work without too much of this thing. Some examples of that for video, text, image, design, coding, audio, productivity, I think that is all being mentioned here. So that means you can also just kind of use them as well without any problem. So I will put that web page link at the end of the session so that you all can go and check it out. And I will tell you something, nobody can teach you how to use this. No matter how many demos that you see, you will use it differently because you will have a very unique requirements with a unique purpose. And the best way for you to do is just like me. I just signed up for ChatGPT OpenAI just some couple of months ago, and I just started, telling them write me a 3,000 word, essay on data science, and it just wrote 3,000. Then I say write a love letter in Sinhala, and it did that in Sinhala. Sinhala is not really perfect, but it got something which was fascinating stuff. So I think please try it. Please use it, and that's the best way for you all to do it. Nothing lost. If anything, it will help you with a lot of work. Now, and there's another important tool called DALL-E, D-A-L-L-E. DALL-E, I think DALL-E, yeah. And what it is happening is that this is creating some very interesting challenges for certain industries and people who are specialized in those areas. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the presentation. But let me just come back to this. Okay, this is the Teams. Let me move that here. Okay, here we go. So obviously, like everything else, AI is not without its criticism, its challenges, with its the world is going to come to an end type of vibe with some people, right? So what I want to do is take about 10 minutes and talk about some concerns, and then also suggest what is the solution, what are the solutions that people are working on, and things like that as well. And I think that will be really, really interesting. One of the very important quotes by Larry Page, whom I quoted earlier as well, obviously is one of my idols, as well, is that Google will fulfill its mission only when its search engine is AI complete. You guys know what that means. It's artificial. Now, Larry Page said this about 10 years ago when he was the CEO of Google. He now moved to be the chairman of Alphabet, probably a little bit hands off because there's a different CEO now driving Google. I personally think Google got late. ChatGPT was won by Microsoft. So there's a bit of that corporate rivalry going on. But there are a couple of very interesting, very influential people who made a couple of very interesting comments about AI as well. I think Stephen Hawking, obviously we all know him. He said the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of human race. Does that mean artificial narrow intelligence or beyond that, or what does that mean? We don't know, but that's one of the key comments he said. Elon Musk, as a person whom we extraordinarily look and admire and support, I don't know where he sits in this equation today, but a few years ago he said artificial intelligence is like summoning the demon. I don't know whether he still stands by that, because Tesla is huge beneficiary of a great artificial intelligence driven software packages can do. For example, it's not really a car company as a lot of people say. And the other one is that they also have been building these robot capabilities and robots that people could purchase. So I'm really not sure where he sits there, but he did express a lot of concern. And of course, people like Mark Zuckerberg of Meta and all those people have been fully supportive of AI. So there's always this divide between people about what they think about AI will become, etc. Now, in order to get a lot of bad press, there were a couple of incidents that happened as a result of applying AI. There were certain AI decisions that came in that a lot of people accused of being either sexist or racist. There were level of development that took place by AI that kind of threatened the way that people actually behaved and worked. So that had a lot of issues as well. So these are some of the simplest, and these are all 2016, a little bit old stuff. I didn't want to take up new stuff. But the answer to these about is what are we doing to prevent AI takeover? If you think and if you're waiting for a image or a word or text to fill up, no, this slide is blank. At the moment, in my humble opinion, I could be wrong here, I don't think there's an answer from us as humans to say this is what we are doing to any kind of a AI takeover. There is regulation efforts in Germany. There had been ethical considerations and so many other things that have been discussed. The challenge you have with any similar to any technology before AI is that the regulation and the legal frameworks tend to be lagging, and the technology seems to be leading in these conversations. This has happened with any technology that took over a lot of legal, like today we are talking about privacy and consent a lot more seriously after X number of incidents have taken place. So I think for AI as well, we still haven't gotten to an understanding, and it's not just also coming one organization or one country coming to an understanding, but how do we get all of the organizations, all of the world, all the countries to kind of come to an understanding about how AI should work and operate? I don't think that is possible. So this seems at the moment is a bit of a blank. And I think maybe someone could take it up and try to fill that in for me. That will be really, really nice. So with that, that's the kind of a situation with where the world sits with AI in terms of how they look at whether it's a positive or a negative, or what is the ethical considerations, or where do we draw the line. So that's a lot of attempts are being made. Concerns have been voiced for sure. And then at the moment, what is the framework? I honestly do not know, and I don't have an answer for it either. Now, one thing is for sure, Genie is definitely out of the lamp. And the question is, what now? Right now, whether we like it or not, we are using ChatGPT. Hundreds of millions people are using ChatGPT. Connecting this back into one of the first graphs I showed, the red line is how the technology evolves, and the blue line demonstrates what the human expectations look like. The red line always comes a little behind, and at that phase, our expectations are way above what is possible. But after the technology becomes mature and mass scale adoption takes place, what we are really seeing is that our expectations of what that technology can do is end up actually becoming lesser than what it actually does. And we are kind of, wow, it can do that type of situation. So I think we are kind of in this space where we are overestimating what it can be right now, where the technology hasn't really caught up to that. But I think very soon, with the work and the rapid growth of, things are moving, there'll be a time where it will completely beat all of our expectation of what it can be and all that. And there's a nice video. Unfortunately, it's a 16-minute video. As a result, I will not be able to play it here, but I will share that link as well. I would recommend that you watch that particular video. It really summarizes across technologies, across industries, across businesses, how AI being adopted, and some of the things that they are doing is actually going to blow our minds, and which is still not, what we call in general scale like ChatGPT or whatever. So that's something that I want to highlight here. So what are the skill sets? What do people need to be thinking about working in a world where AI has a big role to play with everything almost we touch, feel, and think and play and learn? We need to think about learning how to learn. Computational thinking, computational sense making is a very important thing. It's a very important skill set that a lot of us are not being taught growing up, but it's something that we need to learn very, very fast. We need social intelligence type of capabilities, coaching, consulting, emotional intelligence. Empathy is really, really important, and helping others type of situations. Creative mindset, creating things out of nothing, doing research and putting things together and be able to think about it. Design thinking is something that I'm sure most of you may be familiar with. I know that we had a long years of where a lot of us went through a lot of design thinking workshops, and what does it mean? There's another element of that called first principle thinking, and about design mindset. And also one of the very important things you might want to think about is personal brand cultivations. So there's all these different types of skills and competencies that you may want to think about incorporating to yourself little by little. It may take a couple of years for you to develop and get better at it, but I think start thinking about that. I will get to that specifics a bit later, but these are some of the things that is really, really important. I did publish an article recently, not me. I reshared an article from another, I think it was BBC, about the 3 jobs that AI will not be able to take anytime soon, or in the word yet. And one of the 3 types of jobs are listed here. Let me just take you through those 3 things. And the way that you may want to think about is how much of this is applicable to you, and how much of those things are things that you are kind of building for yourself in this current context. First of all, it's just jobs that require sophisticated interpersonal relationships. Business consultants, investigative journalists, and the words and the description that was going, where you need a very deep understanding of people, empathy, emotional intelligence, all of that. I think it will be long time before AI has the ability to interact in the kinds of ways that really build relationships. So that's a very important area. So if you're in sales, marketing, business, channel management, relationship-driven account management, there is a lot of play for you in the term for it at the moment. The second one is jobs that are genuinely creative. And I think I've underlined that word genuinely. You're not doing formulaic work, just rearranging things, right? And but you are genuinely coming up with new ideas. There's something very interesting here in the third line. All jobs that are considered creative are not safe, like graphic designing. creating social media posts. These are things, it's more of a formula driven type of a situation, are expected to be taken over by AI space. And there's already, I saw on Instagram, there's a huge amount of advertisements taken by this platform where you can actually put in a couple of ideas and the entire visuals and the post and everything will be created by this ChatGPT similar tool, right? So it's really in what they are really referring to here as creative is people who are doing like strategy, business strategy, legal strategy type of a thing where you really have to, there's no formula, but you have to start adopting, creating a way of doing stuff. Those are kind of jobs that are AI is not expected to challenge immediately. The third types of jobs here are the, kind of requires a lot of mobility, dexterity, and problem solve ability, like even at the, bottom of the level, not the bottom of the level, but roles that are like electricians, plumbers, welders, and these kind of jobs where you actually have to, kind of get into different situations, different circumstances constantly, and be able to solve problems, get different solutions depending on the environment you are in and the infrastructure you are part of. These are some of the jobs that we like. And the words that were used here is that you probably would need science fiction robot or something like a C3PO. For the geeks out there, I hope you'll know what C3PO means. But those are some of the jobs. So these are like the three kind of big criterias. It doesn't mean that you belong to one. Maybe you have overlap with two. Maybe you will have overlaps with all three, or kind of a similarities of it. But if you are doing repetitive tasks, for me, that is the easiest and the closest work that is likely to get replaced very, very fast. And I think we are seeing that we don't have to go into AI and ChatGPT, but we can think about things like RPA, which is called robotic process automation, which is something that is already being deployed inside the group as well as so many other places around the country, where we are seeing any repetitive tasks is likely to be the first and the immediate casualty in terms of getting replaced by automation. Now, there was one time where Elon Musk was asked, why are you kind of taking on more robots for these work and not human employers and employees? And he said, if I took humans, I have to slow down my supply chain to meet their speed. So there are things that will repetitive tasks, especially at the immediate ones where there will be 24/7, machines can run with more accuracy and as well as more space. And I think that's one of the immediate things that So this is something that I want to highlight in terms of job. Now, if you are interested in AI and if you are considering what should I do with all of this information and where can I go with this? There are two things I can tell you. Like in 2018, I myself had no idea about artificial intelligence other than a conversational level, right? I can just talk about AI, but didn't really know how it can be implemented, how can be thought through, how can we apply AI to a business or a business problem, all of that. And I think one of the things I did was I got myself the very first program I enrolled myself with my own money was in Udemy, a program called the Data Science Course, Complete Data Science Bootcamp. Now, even though it says data science, this was a really good starting point to understand how we look at data, how to think about problems, what is predictive analytics, what is advanced, and what is prescriptive analytics, descriptive, predictive, prescriptive analytics type of a thing. How does basic software skills are needed? I mean, it was really good. It's significantly lower than buying 2 pizzas in the country right now. So I think you should definitely, if you're interested, I think it's a very long, huge volume of information. I still time and time I go back, study this particular program and just brush up my knowledge and remind me of stuff. I recommend that if you're really interested, this is something that you might want to spend time actually doing. The second one is I am really unsure how many of you how many of you don't know this. Octave has a learners academy for advanced analytics. This is a post that one of my friends, Nisal, put on LinkedIn after he completed the program and posted it on LinkedIn. I think to be completely honest, as an employee of JKH, there's absolutely no reason why you should not be doing this program. It's a really good starting point. I think there are multiple layers on that. And if anybody is interested, please reach out to any of us at Octave, even myself, not a problem at all. Just send it to me. Happy to take any questions around it. And I really think that if you're keen, even if you don't think that I'm going to build my career and do anything meaningful with AI in my career, today technology is like air that you breathe. It's a hygiene factor. I think it's very soon that knowledge about AI is going to be that as well. So as a result, I recommend strongly strongly advocate that you all somehow kind of do that, enroll and do that as well. Yeah. Sorry, can I ask you to go on mute? I can hear some background noise. Okay, then the last one is, if you're really interested, there's a particular book I can recommend. This is a book I have read some time back. This is one of the most fascinating books about, I have read about what does it mean to be, smart at the time of machines and everything. What are the 5-6 things? And I actually do have the book in my hand. There are some really nice 10 steps that have been given. I recommend that if you get the chance to read this, this is probably one of the best books that will prepare you for what artificial intelligence can become in business and all that. And it is no far-fetched. I mean, when I read it a few years ago, it felt like, nah, that's not going to happen. But today it feels a lot more closer than I ever thought. So this is probably the way that I think if you are interested in pursuing and learning, that is the way I think you should recommend go about doing that. And I'm happy to help anybody who wants a specific question as well. Now, obviously, I would take a moment and introduce what Octave and what we do. Octave, a lot of you probably don't know this, and I met a lot of people in some of the business units that we work with, like, so for example, Cinnamon and all that. Sometimes when we say we are from Octave, some people think we are outside of Octave. We are not. Octave is, we are part of the center function at the moment. We are a 60+ team. We have the full capability, and I think I'm very proud to say that we are probably the pure play advanced analytics entity in Sri Lanka. I don't think there's any other entity that is even remotely close to the kind of a skill set and competencies we bring in this space. And I said, we believe in work in the advanced analytics space. That means all of that, what I've kind of spoken about, the components that goes in, right? So we have teams working on areas like data engineering, data science, platform engineering, visualization, and obviously I belong to a team called delivery team that kind of brings all these capability together. I don't know whether we'd go as far as calling ourselves as rolling out AI, but we certainly have, Dr. Sumani, who is here, I think on the call, who is working on machine learning space and rolling out some incredible, work for some of our business units. So happy to kind of speak to you more about Octave. If you're interested as well, just let us know, and that will be there. And I think the idea behind why I wanted to introduce Octave is that if you feel you would like to see what advanced analytics can do for your business unit, please reach out to us. Happy to have a conversation and see whether what's possible, what's not possible. At least, the words I would use is the art of possible, right? Let's look at and explore that together. I'd like to take up questions, but before that, I wanted to just park this particular last thought process with you. before I kind of move in. I know that I am like 1 minute over my 60-minute mark. I know that I have 30 more minutes, but I want to keep ample time for questions, and I want to share the other articles and stuff which I've spoken about as well. The printing press really democratized knowledge, and that transformed the world in a way that we couldn't fathom. Because when the knowledge got democratized, a lot of people were able to use that knowledge and do some amazing things that push the civilization forward. For me, what artificial intelligence really means is the true democratization of our ability. It may be right now, for example, limited to a set of people who have invested the time and effort of mastering that, and because that's the way the world worked before. But now we are bringing this ability to everyone. Everybody can write, amazing stuff. Everybody can create amazing art. Everybody can most likely will be able to write software code. Everybody will be able to write and do things that they couldn't believe. And I think for me, that is a really, really meaningful purpose that drives our human civilization and our country, our businesses, us as individuals forward. So with that, I'd like to take any Q&A and take up any questions, and happy to hear your comments. If you have any questions, happy to take that. If you think you disagree with me with something, love to hear that as well. I will share in the meantime while I take the questions. I'll take that. I'll share with you the two things I said I think is really important. One is the 16-minute video. I think is definitely a must watch. Second one is that particular website URL that give you access to a description of the tool and what you can really do with those ChatGPT/equivalent tools about making your productivity and helping your business to become better. With that, Ahimsa, back to you, and happy to take it from there. Excuse me.
Okay, so the floor is open for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and clarify the questions or address any doubts you may have. So yeah.
Anyone has any questions? You can leave it on the chat as well. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, happy to take it. Let me just put it on the slides as well. So, yeah. Aiza, do you have any questions?
I think I'm pretty clear. I would have a couple of comments to make, but I will wait a little bit more and see what our audience has to say first.
Sure, no problem at all. Anyone has any questions?
It seems like you have done a very comprehensive presentation, Rohan, because you don't have any questions from the audience.
I always say, if you have understood everything, or if you haven't understood anything, both are really good outcomes. Someone understanding something halfway is probably the worst thing. So yeah, I mean, over to you. I know that I probably can give 10, 15 more than that minutes back to everybody's lives, which probably is a good thing as well. But yeah.
Okay, then if you have any questions.
Can I just 1 second? Sorry, Ahimsa, 1 second. There is someone who had left a question saying, have we implemented integrated ChatGPT or any similar technology within the group? So Kushalini, I hope it's Kushalini whom I know, by the way. I have to say that there is work that Octave is currently doing on its own, as well as exploring possibilities outside. What are the timelines on when you might see some applications of that coming through to you? I cannot comment at the moment, but there's work and effort have been put into that, and we really think, I personally think we really should be doing stuff there. So yeah, hopefully we'll get there soon. That's the answer to your question.
Okay, guys. So as Rohan said, if
Hi,
you have
Rohan,
any
this
further
is
questions, yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, this is Hashani.
Hey, Hashani.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
I just want to understand from your point of view, what could be like the potential risks that will be associated with AI when it comes to personal data and sensitive information?
So I think already one of the biggest lawsuits I think Google had to sort out was I think someone made a major court case to Google when Google started showing search results, but they also showed a lot of this information about it. Like it's almost like you didn't have to go to the website. Like if you are looking for a short answers, that answers were already there from that. Right. And then that particular website said Google doesn't own or Google did not create that. As a result, they are taking away probably, knowledge and IP that was created, revenue streams for the business as a result. And I really don't know what the outcome and the settlement or what happened to the court case. But I think today, even if ChatGPT, one of the biggest questions that people are trying to ask is, hey, you are using information that is out there, right, to compile this. So are you, I mean, you are just more like a curator slash combiner slash whatever, type of thing. So first of all, do you have the right? How do you protect intellectual property around? How do you manage consent around it? As I said, that the reason why I left that page empty is I don't think that those particular questions have been answered yet by anyone clearly. The reason is, and I think people hate me for saying this, we all want the benefit as long as we don't think it's a price we are not okay to pay with. So that what we are saying is that the moment the incentive is bigger, we don't complain as much. But the one day that we feel the benefit is not as meaningful as to the compromise of the intellectual property, the information I put now somebody else is exploiting, then we start making a noise about it. And I think the sound is becoming louder and louder. I think there are people who are making a big, and Italy has blocked ChatGPT, if I'm not mistaken. So there's these things. For me, it's a pendulum swing. It will go up and down and it will have some kind of a settlement over a period of time. At the moment, for me, I am a huge advocate of intellectual property and protecting of creative rights. But at the moment, I don't know the final decision. And I think those will be taken by people like you more than me with a higher pay grade and more legal understanding, Shani.
Yes, correct. No, I am of the firm belief that AI should be properly regulated.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a chaos. That's why.
No, I agree. But I think the challenge there, Hashani, is at the moment, people don't even know what it is and how it will be. And I think unless we really put in a lot of effort, because I think at the end of the day, we all agree there's tremendous amount of benefit for all of us.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's always that if you regulate it too much, will we compromise on the benefit we will receive as people, as a community, as a country, whatever. And I think that's the balance that we need to delicately find. But I don't know whether we are made a progress there. I agree with you 100%.
Yes. Yes.
Ravinder, you have a question?
Hi, Rohan. Thank you for your session. Couple of questions.
Yeah.
First question, I know, following up on Ramesh's email that was sent out a couple of months back to all users. Will it be Copilot that will be rolled out across the the Microsoft Suite for JKH or ChatGPT integration?
Truth be told, I do not know. I know for a fact that is something that John Kill's IT must be working on. So maybe I don't want to comment because I honestly don't know enough information about it, mate. What was the second question about the Copilot thing?
No, the follow-up question was not regarding that. Rohan, I think we had this conversation also, like in terms of your view, why do you think Google was late to the party, even though they put out the transform model research out in 2017?
The easiest answer to that is complacency. Complacency is when you make enough money doing what you're doing, and it is almost like automated. I mean, Google 85% of this is my personal judgment. Okay, don't this thing. My personal judgment, you are making 85% of your total revenue from an ad machine, which is almost a monopoly in the world, right? There's enough initiatives around Google Maps, the YouTube, and all these are also generating so much money. And they are also made a lot of progress in quantum computing and things like that. There's a lot going on as it is at Google. It's easy to miss something. Like, for example, if you ask Eric Schmidt, who was the CEO of Google for 10 years, someone asked what did the biggest regret in his life? He said, I miss the social media. right? Because they were busy doing other stuff. They missed the social media, and then Mark Zuckerberg came and took that over, right? And this happens to large organizations. For me, I think it's just an oversight. They didn't expect ChatGPT to come so fast and blow up so fast the way it did. And I think they're just doubling down now and getting that sorted out. I think at the end of the day, there'll be 3-4 players that'll rule. Google is definitely one. Amazon is definitely going to be one. Facebook is definitely going to be one. I think Microsoft has a huge advantage right now with the ChatGPT. So that's my observation.
For sure. Thanks, Rohan.
We have another question from Shehand and Fernando.
Yeah.
In 2023, OpenAI announced that it would be reducing the number of responses that GPT-4 could generate. This was due to concerns that the model was capable of generating harmful or offensive content. Do you think there is a potential threat to humanity in the rate that AI is being developed?
Wow. So first, okay, I think it's a loaded question, and I don't know whether I should ask. I want to keep my job here. That's also important.
It's
so I
just
think
an opinion. We'll just hear your opinion.
I'll give you my opinion, right? First of all, I think the reduction of my independent observer's opinion, has no affiliation towards anything, is the reduction of answers is because they also have to start thinking about monetization. If you look at how GPT is trying to monetize, is because you buy tokens, and every time you customize it, your tokens go away. Like that's how they may. Like I can write it to ask 3,000 word assignment, and then when I want to modify it to write it in British or whatever, English or whatever, it will reduce some tokens like that, and that's how ChatGPT will start making money. And also the second part of it, I think why it reduces, because there was a huge concern about what we just discussed about who owns the right to the content that was created somewhere. Now ChatGPT is kind of maybe utilized to build the model or whatever. There's all these concerns there. The second part of your question about, I don't think words can really ruin the kind of to the level that you're talking about, like in terms of AI being developed and all that. I think at the moment, as I said, we are talking about narrow AI. When the narrow AI start jumping out and becoming more towards more broader AI, would there be concerns that we have to be thinking about? I think so. Do I have answers to that? I don't. I honestly don't know. I hope I answered your question, Shehantan. Dr. Sumani also have asked question. Several prominent people in South Hawking, Elon Musk, bond danger. Could you lead distraction? What I take? I don't think so. I personally don't think it will lead to human destruction. Is my personal and humble opinion. I think sometimes, as I said, we overestimate what these technologies can do. Very early on, I recall, like, people us getting excited about, cloud computing 5 years ago, digital marketing 3 years ago, all of these different things. But I think it kind of finds a nice balance. So, Dr. Sumani, I don't think it will be there. And then
Shalini also has a question, I think.
Yeah, she is. Do you think it's ethical for brands to use well-generated DALL-E and Midjourney? Wow. The thing about ethics, Kushalani, is that it can vary from a person to person, right? It's because I always say there's our laws and regulations, and ethics is what we operate above and above on a humanitarian level. Now, for me, I don't see that as a problem, right? Now, someone could, but I think it's a very subjective nature. Until regulation comes in, I cannot comment on that. Then Purnika is suggesting information opinion. What are the regret moves, quick wins for an organization to use AI in their business? I personally think, thank you, Purnika, for the question. One of my colleagues from Octave. So I'll just take the questions and finish it off, Ahimsa. So Purnika, I think absolutely the answer to that question, I think, is not all problems in a business cannot be solved by and should not be solved by AI, for sure. Your core business, if you are in manufacturing and if you're manufacturing something, the most important thing is that, are you really doing that well over and above anyone else? I think that's a key question you have to ask. And in order for you to do it over and above and well and above others, can I leverage data? Can I leverage feedback loops from customers? Can I leverage the way that my supply chain is managed? that's where I think we can really add a lot of value as a quick win. And I think it's really important to kind of speak to some of these people in the analytics space to understand what can be utilized for the business. And I think that's something that I want to keep open for everybody who's here. Come and talk to us. Happy to do that. Do you think there's an adapt or perish kind of perspective when it comes to utilizing marketing and communication? I think you and I both come from a little bit of marketing background, Shalu. My answer is that it's like how digital marketing came along and people thought TV, radio, newspapers would die. It didn't. It still exists, maybe in a lesser format. The poor players will fade off. AI and everything will always will move out the average players and the poor players, but the top players will adapt and integrate and will continue to do it. I think there will be a balance that we will achieve over a period. I think we want it to be all of it, but we realize that it cannot be all of it yet, is my answer. So I think it'll be like that. Good. Anyone else wants to give any comments about whether the session is good, bad, or ugly? Please feel free to do so. Let me just give the 2 links that I promised. If you want to find out the tools, here's the tool that I'm sharing with you right now. The first one is for that. Let me share the video as well, and then I think happy to take any questions after that. Anyone else has it? Questions, or are we good? Hashani, you said you have 2 questions, right?
Yes, I think I submitted those 2 questions in the form. One was about ethical considerations. So I suppose that's like you just now pointed out. It depends, right? And so yeah, that's the thing. And the other one was on privacy and confidential information, which I think we covered.
Okay, got it. I mean, you're asking really hard questions. I don't have a black and white answer, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yes, we will figure it out.
Good. Any other questions, or if nothing else, I just shared a particular link. Let me just find the video. Then, oh yeah, here we go. This particular video is a 16-minute video and probably one of the most fascinating videos. There's a robot, the most sophisticated human robot, Amika. Is also featured there, but there's a lot more in there. So that link is also I've shared with you guys. Good, Aisa, then if no questions, back to you.
Seems like we are all good to go then. First of all, Rohan, thank you for the thorough and detailed session. I mean, personally, I found a lot of intriguing details, particularly regarding that ancient origin of AI, where you talked about this Talos and how it expanded. Like, I never came across with something like that. So that was specifically fascinating to me. And also, I would like to extend a big shout out to our esteemed audience, because your presence here today is a testament to your commitment to learning and, you know, staying at the forefront of ever-changing world, right? So that is a good sign. As we wrap up this session, I would like to encourage all of you to share your feedback and thoughts. It's beneficial for us as well as Rohan too. We will be sharing the feedback form via chat and via an email as well. And we would be greatly appreciating it if you could take a few moments to provide your input. So once again, Rohan, thank you so much. With that, I think we will wrap up this session. Let's continue to explore, learn, and adapt as we navigate through the future of work in the age of AI. So have a great evening to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Sure.